Today's video is sponsored by Squarespace. In one of my recent videos where I shared my little photo album basically that I made of 2020, I briefly touched on the fact that Molly and I have decided to separate, and we talked pretty openly about that on Instagram. There was a whole post, and it wasn't for sympathy or clicks or anything like that. We really just wanted to be transparent because social media is so often not transparent. While I do want to have a conversation on just social media in general and the sort of outside looking in kind of perspective that it brings, today I really just want to focus on vulnerability and kind of how I handle vulnerability on social media. Over the years, I've shared a lot of ups and downs in my own life. Everything from just normal everyday family photos and all of the, fun and happy stuff to health issues, family members passing away, financial struggles as a business owner. I've tried to just share as much as I possibly can because I'm an open book and I want people to be able to see that I'm just another person, just like everyone else, no better, no less. One thing that I do always hear from people is just how shocked they are that I'm pretty transparent about my, normal, everyday kind of personal life. A lot of people can be pretty private on social media, and for good reason, but I always hear from people who say things like, what did that feel like to open up in front of a camera and just talk about stuff? Or people saying I could never share any kind of personal stuff like that online, especially the tough situations. I've probably never received more messages just like that in one given week than when Molly and I talked about separating. And I was texting a friend and they said, what was the response like? What did people actually have to say when you talk about something like that? Something so personal that, can be really sad in a way. Even though it's a mutual decision, it's still a tough, really hard thing to go through. And, as I was explaining to them what it's like, it just felt like something that I should share here as well, because I do think there's a good message from it. Like any other time that I've shared anything personal in my life, especially the tough stuff, I was just overwhelmed by all of the love and support and just personal stories from people reaching out and opening up themselves, talking about personal things that they've gone through that were really similar. And it was, people that I've never talked to in my life. And sometimes it was people that I only know because of social media. I mean, it was just all sorts of people. There was, of course, a handful of people leaving shitty comments and messages. That's to be expected. It is social media, but it's pretty simple. Those people get blocked. They have a seat on the bench, and then I go on with the rest of my life and never think about them again. It's pretty great. But the vast majority of people that reached out were explaining, their own personal stories and personal struggles that they've had to go through. And, that in itself is what is so great about social media. That is what's great about being vulnerable on social media, because people can see that you're just another person. They get to see that they're not the only person going through something, and I get to see the same thing. I'm just another photographer going through life doing what I love, just like everybody else. But by being more than just a photographer on social media, by not pretending to have all of life's answers and have everything figured out, to not act like I'm unfazed by all of life's punches that it throws, it just shows people that I'm just a normal person just like them, going through the same kind of shit that everyone goes through. People can say what they want and they can leave shitty comments and start gossip threads on Reddit like a bunch of dorks, but it's the real human beings behind social media that actually make it a really good place. It makes all of that kind of stuff worth it, and it makes it worth it to be vulnerable and open and transparent. Some of my closest friends are all over the US. Some of them live in other parts of the world, and I only know them because of just some dumb app like Instagram. But because we've just been normal people and opened ourselves up, we've been able to actually connect, and I've been able to meet people and make great relationships with people just because I've been willing to open myself up and be more than just a photography account. I just spent a week in Minneapolis to sign and ship out my book, and my best friend Kevin, he lives there. We stayed with him the entire week. He's the one who helped me put the book together, to distribute the book, everything there. And actually, while we were there, we filmed basically a little mini documentary about self-publishing and self-distributing a book and, all of the ups and downs that come with that. So we filmed everything. There were a lot of hurdles, a lot of fun, a lot of ups and downs, and even some conversations on, being vulnerable and imposter syndrome, putting yourself out there as an artist for other people to have and, think and say whatever it is they want. And I'm really, really excited for you guys to see the finished video once that's done, because it's probably going to be one of my favorite things, if not my favorite thing I've ever put up here on YouTube, because it's just very raw and open. And I think with everything going on right now, I don't really have any other way than to just be as open and honest and talk. I was just talking to one of my best friends about this yesterday, and when something like that happens, Molly and I separating, even though it's a mutual decision, even though we still love each other and are still best friends, and there's no ill will towards each other, it's still tough. It's still something that neither of us ever would have expected to happen, especially years ago. But when something like that happens that you don't really expect, it just kind of shows you that we don't have all of life's answers, and it is what it is. There's just this sort of fear that kind of disappears whenever you actually acknowledge and accept what the reality really is. When something that was once unthinkable is happening and you're able to be at peace with it, there's not really much else to be afraid of at that point, and you can be pretty comfortable with it. And I think if I wasn't as open and transparent with people and had these kinds of conversations, I feel like I would probably feel a lot more alone going through what I'm going through. It sounds counterintuitive to be vulnerable, giving you any sort of comfort, but for me, I really do get a lot of comfort just from being open, sharing my own personal experiences, knowing that I'm not the only person going through this kind of stuff. And it also takes the pressure off because I don't have to pretend like I have all of life's answers. So I'm excited for you guys to see, the full kind of documentary when we put that together. For the sake of making a photo book, it's going to be interesting in that regard, but just open conversations that were there, I think that's going to be the biggest takeaway. So I'm excited for you guys to see that. But today, again, just to sort of get the conversation started, I wanted to kind of speak on vulnerability a little bit and what my relationship with it is like. So I think that's all I've got to say today. I love you guys. I'll see you next time. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and a big thanks to our sponsor today, Squarespace. Squarespace is the best all-in-one platform to build a great-looking website. No matter what your experience level is, anyone can build a great-looking site with Squarespace. With all of their built-in features and templates to choose from, it's super easy to customize and still give it the look that you want. And if you ever need help with anything, they have 24/7 award-winning customer service. Whether you need a place for your portfolio, to run a blog, or your own online store, Squarespace has everything built in so you don't need to worry about anything else. If you want to try Squarespace out, you can do so entirely free at squarespace.com, but if you want to get signed up, you can go to squarespace.com/MattDay, and that'll get you 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.